Good evening and welcome to this extraordinary evening. It's such a special opportunity that I have, and I think that we all have this evening, to spend some time with Plácido to talk about his career. Please give him a warm welcome, Maestro Plácido Domingo. Plácido, you don't just come to Covent Garden, you don't just make your debut at Covent Garden, you have an early career at which I don't think people really know about. Give us briefly an idea of the scope of your early career, and tell us about your parents a little bit and what they had in mind for you.
Well, yes, that's interesting because, of course, the operatic things you know, but of course, my parents, they were singers of zarzuela, and I started with them working in the company, doing anything. You know, I was studying piano, so I can do something, you know, to prepare some of the singers to their parts. I can do a small part just crossing the stage. If there is something backstage, then the chorus has to sing backstage. I was helping them, and I did everything that is possible until I started singing some of the zarzuelas. And I was also being the chorus master there. And at the meantime, the opera, they were auditioning people, and a friend of me said, Plácido, you should audition for the opera. I said, come on, I don't have voice to sing opera. I said, you have voice to sing opera. And I mean, I have sang zarzuela, and it's difficult, you know, but I don't know. So I made an audition. I was singing as a baritone, and after they asked me they say that we think you are a tenor, and if I can sing a tenor aria, and I sang Amor ti vieta from Fedora with a fantastic crack in the high note, and they told me, well, I mean, never mind for the crack. In any case, you are a tenor, and we want to give you a contract. So they gave me a contract first of all because they knew I was a musician to play the piano. I started the opera as a pianist, and immediately the following season I was going to sing Borsa in Rigoletto.
Is it true that your parents said, forget about singing, you should become a piano player?
And I think my father thought that I will have better chances as a pianist or conductor, and as a pianist I knew for sure I couldn't, because I said to Tony, I don't have a very good left hand, you know.
I think this is important to realize that the apprenticeship, if you can survive the apprenticeship period of a career, then you will have a career. I think it's a sink or swim situation, and obviously you swam, singing La Bohème, Otello, Le Comte of Manrico, you know, all this mix of lyric and dramatic roles. It seems that throughout your career you've not made much of a distinction.
Well, you know, today times they have changed, and it is because, I mean, the theaters, they take more care of the productions. I remember the first year in Vienna, I sang 3 performances of Don Carlos, but the second year I went to sing Tosca, Cavalleria e Payasos, Faust, and Carmen, I believe. And just with 2 days in between to change that repertoire, that's amazing, you know, that we cannot do it today.
Plácido's, what he's describing is something that even in the days of Caruso at the Metropolitan, this is the way it was done. You know, Caruso could sing Aida one night, L'Elisir d'Amore 2 nights later, Tosca 2 nights later, and then Pagliacci. This was normal. This is the world of opera has changed dramatically.
It has changed. You know, I mean, The quality is much better now, you know, because it's a long period of rehearsals, and then you do a production, you shuffle with another production or something. Maximum 3 operas are going on, you know, but probably since you are involved in singing 6 or 7 performances of the one that you are singing, will be impossible to do another one, you know. But I really enjoy it, you know, changing the characters like this. It was beautiful.
I've never known you to look as if you had any difficulties in your life, or and you are just such a positive force. But now we're going to talk about Canio a little bit. But have there been periods in your life where you've really had to use all your power to go on stage?
The instrument is with us, you know, so it lives with us. I mean, it will affect also any instrumentalist, different aspects of life, different things. There are moments where you have to go out singing and you have problems. You have personal problems, you have tragedies, because it happened to me when we had the earthquake in Mexico.
I remember I was the pianist on the show. You came to Chicago in
Yeah,
1985.
I was doing Otello.
Othello.
So
And you sang the first night?
I sang the first performance, but then I had to go because they were not finding my relatives, and finally, I mean, we lost them, and you have to go on, you know. So I think that in many circumstances in life, also with health, sometimes you have to go out. But basically, the theater, it helps you. It helps you because in some moments of difficult times, for whatever reasons, sometimes not for these big things, for tragedies, but for any worries and that are not so important, that when you come out and you arrive and you feel that the voice is there and the public is happy and everything is great, fabulous. But it's very bad when you don't feel well. I cannot tell you how terrible it is when you have to sing and you know that you cannot give the best. That's really the most difficult thing in life, because you suffer so much. That performance, it takes the energy of 10 performances, you know? And after, you know, generally speaking, most of the public, they don't even notice, you know? You know.
But when you give that much every evening, and you have those very, very strong words, you know, I have to put on my costume, and I'm dying inside, or you say some of the words that Otello says when you say, Dio mi potevi scagliar tutti mali, Lord, you could have launched upon me all the ills of the world, and yet you took away that which was most dear to me. When you live with those kinds of words and those kinds of demands on your soul, is there any distance that you keep, or do you throw yourself? As a performer, is there a balancing act that you have to do?
Well, I give myself, but it has to be a control. So that's the reason when they talk about Stanislavski, about the acting, you know, then he was talking about. I mean, it has to be a control. Maybe not for an actor, maybe, which I think so. But for a singer, definitely, because otherwise the voice, it won't come out. You have to feel intensely, but there is still a moment that you control yourself. So I remember, Marta remember very well that we were doing Carmen in Israel. She was doing Micaela and I was doing Don Jose. And the scene, it was so strong that I realized that Marta was worried. And she, in a moment that I am listening to Carmen, she came to me and she said, Plácido, are you all right? And I just make to her.
Just wink.
Because, I mean, yes, there are some moments that you Yes, but you have to control. But for the public doesn't exist. I mean, the public has to believe. But if you will give everything absolutely, you won't be able to sing. You know,
but now we're filming everything.
Yeah.
So now you have to, if you like, fake it even to a better degree now.
Yeah. Today we are living horrible days because every performance you do is either in radio, either in the computer, or it is for television or for cinema. You know.
Plácido, they did tell you that this is being streamed live, right?
Yeah, hello.
What I find interesting, Plácido, is that a lot of people talk about classical music being dead and going to die imminently. But I can tell you, I've never made so many recordings. I've never done so many live relays.
Oh, yeah.
I've never done so many of these kind of things. So many things are going on. Maybe it's what one does to survive in this world. But look, it's surviving, right?
All these things, it makes us work so much more to the singers. You know, today, I remember the years of the golden age of recording, because fortunately there were many records done. Today, I feel really very sorry for the new young artists, singers, because they won't have so many possibilities to record like we used to have before, you know. And what happened? You were doing a recording, you record your opera, and then you only hear it. Today, you do a recording, and you have to do 15 television interviews.
People do want to know how you have managed to make this change from tenor to baritone. Your whole being, your whole stage persona has changed, hasn't it? Has had to change.
Well, since physically I look more like a father and grandfather also, the Just Lover, you know, the Rodolfo, the Cavaradossi, or you name it, Romeo especially. But I have to tell you something. The role that I'm doing now in Covent Garden, I am very young for, because Francesco Foscari was 89 years old. So that's everything.
Listen, we have an audience question submitted by Jane Clay from Yorkshire, and she says, how does Mr. Domingo advise and encourage his young singers to deal with nerves during performances? Is there anything particular he does himself?
Well, I simply tell them, you know, if you think that you are nervous now, wait when the years passes.
You're doing this relatively new role with us, I Due Foscari, the Doge, Francesco Foscari. How did you come to choose this role? And is it an opera? Well, not many of us know this opera. It's an opera that was written 1844, same year as Ernani, just after Ernani, and 2 operas before Macbeth. How did you find this part? I mean, people have sung it, it's been done, it's not so popular. Why? And why? What attracts you to it?
I think it has been not so popular because it needs really 3 singers that okay, you say, yeah, in Trovatore you need 4, yes, but okay, that was always a popular opera. And even with singers, then they were not able to sing the opera. I have seen many performances of popular operas. But this opera, so I think the theaters, they said, if we don't have really the singers to do it, why to do it?
Are you saying it's very exposed?
It's very exposed. The 3 parts are very, very exposed in different ways. The sensibility of Verdi, because of losing his children when they were very young, I mean, sing with the son. I mean, the part of the tercet in the second act is so deep. Even singing of the pain of the son with the daughter-in-law is a page that it is amazing. is amazing. I mean, you leave the theater and you said, well, it's a pity this opera is not done more.
Let's go back to your piano playing. I remember when we first met, this is 1988, Oslo, Norway. Plácido came to do a gala performance of Tosca, and he showed up a day before to rehearse the staging, and I, the conductor, wasn't there. To this day, I feel bad about that. And I showed up before the performance. He was in his dressing room, and I walked in, and there was Plácido sitting at the piano. And he said, I need 5 things from you. And the first thing was relatively straightforward. In recondita armonia and he played a lot of arpeggios, I remember. You do a lot of this kind of thing. And he says, I need that in 2 rather than in 6. So instead of recondita, he says, let's do that. And then the second thing was that he says in the duet, he says, and then another arpeggio, and another arpeggio. But he said, need you to go on there so that I can do this in one breath. Another arpeggio, and the other one was that I remember you said, support me there. La vita mia costa se vi salverò. But I said to you about his right hand. The right hand was flying all over the keyboard. Well, let me tell you that he was playing the piano. I was doing the singing. And I was singing, and that was our rehearsal for the performance, which took place 15 minutes later.
And we were like this.
Yeah, we were like this, actually.
Yes.
But I'll never forget hearing him start the Recondita Armonia aria, because that sound, it was all I could do to keep going, because I realized that, is it happening or is it the record have just been put on? It was because it did sound that glorious and luxurious and generous. This is a quality that Plácido has in spades, that the deal, I think you talked about that the audience makes the artist, but I think there's a deal that is made. And the deal that your side, you've always given everything that you've had. You've been so generous in your performing manner. And this is rare. Because it's risky when you go out there. It's 2 vocal cords and all those words and all the trappings of opera. And now, you're still learning new roles. And I think that the deal it's a sure deal for the audience, because they know they're paying to get something and they receive it from you and always have. Yeah. And we thank you really, truly for that, because we want that to continue for so much longer. You've given this house, Plácido, riches that we can't possibly give you enough gifts or recognition. We can just keep inviting you, and
that's great.
I just hope you come back. And Plácido, many great years to come.
Tony.
We love you dearly.
Thank you. It's so great to work with you. You're great.